Hey y'all, hey, it's JJ Conway. Welcome to Building Wealth Together, where our goal is to help you walk in abundance and leave a legacy. It's Juice with JJ. This is where I keep you informed about scams, financial controversies, and money shenanigans so you can keep your cash flow out of their pockets and funding your dreams. Let's get into it. Before the episode begins, let me remind everyone that my family does a lot of resetting during the summer. And so what you're about to hear is an excerpt from the Women Building Wealth Together conference. And if you'd like more information about what you heard, you can go to jjclink.com/VIP. And oh, by the way, if you want to make sure that you are the first to know when we start going live again in September, get on my mailing list. That's at jjclink.com/list. Now let's get into the show. Hey sis, can we talk? I mean, really talk. Let's talk about financial abuse. 85% of women who leave an abusive relationship return. And according to the National Network to End Domestic Violence, financial abuse is often cited by victims as the main reason they stayed with or returned to an abusive partner. As with all forms of abuse, financial abuse occurs across all socioeconomic, education, racial, and ethnic groups. And this is often complicated by having young children at home, or perhaps the abuser has all of the economic and social standing. The abuser may have complete control over the finances, and the victim may have neither employment nor access to cash, bank accounts, credit cards. Victims might not have adequate skills to earn or maintain enough money to live on their own, or they may have those skills hidden beneath the surface, but are so afraid and so lacking in confidence that they need help to rediscover their talent and value. Today, I'm here to encourage you that it's never, never, never too late to live a life you love. Maybe you're successful today, and that's fantastic. Congratulations. I support you and I am proud of you. Life has really come together for you. I want to celebrate you, you know? You go. I'm proud of you. I may not be talking to you today, but I might be. See, I was very successful on the outside. I was very successful in public the day that my eyes came open. Now, I didn't realize the extent to what I was going through, but deep down inside, I knew something was wrong. I knew everything was wrong. I wasn't living the best life that others saw when they saw me walking down the street. Instead, it felt like I was living a nightmare. Now, I may be talking to you. I may be talking to your friend who feels like her life is a nightmare. I'm talking to our sister who woke up and wondered how life got to be like this. How did she end up here after how hard she worked to be something and how hard her mother worked so that her baby girl could have more? Oh, I'm talking to our auntie who got out of an abusive situation with just the clothes on her back and the baby in her arms. And she wonders all these years later if she did the right thing. Because I wondered if I did the right thing for years. For years, I wondered if I did the right thing or if I had betrayed the trust of my partner. I still wake up some mornings, look across the room at my husband, and say in disbelief, this amazing man cannot possibly be mine. It has to be a dream. It's somebody else's good dream, one that I'm not worthy enough to have, one that I'm not good enough to have, one that I don't deserve to have. Not after the nightmare I lived for over 30 years. That nightmare, that nightmare feels more right. It feels more comfortable, more natural. Now, those mornings are rarer and rarer, but they still come from time to time. It's hard to describe my upbringing in a balanced way. I mean, although I know there were some good times because my mother has pictures to prove it, abuse is woven throughout my memories until my mom left my dad when I was 13. And though mom reared us to be strong, independent women, my psyche was already programmed to accept emotional and physical abuse as normal. Besides, a girl always wants to impress her daddy, doesn't she? usually. And my father was just as old world islander traditional as my mom was independent feminist. I had two boyfriends in college. The first went to jail for assault, and the other I dated for 3 years and ended relationship when he became too controlling. I yielded to family pressure to marry him. After all, one of my close female family members said, no one else is good barking up your tree, and you don't want to end up old and alone. In her day, if you weren't engaged by the time you graduated from college, your chances of marrying were abysmal. So she really was trying to help, okay? The same way that others are trying to help when they can't see beyond the perfect facade that your partner displays in public. The one you fell in love with, but haven't seen behind closed doors in years. Our marriage quickly deteriorated into controlling and abusive behavior. After 4 years, I tried to leave, but certain forms of spousal abuse, including rape, were legal in some states back then. Even in states that had criminalized sexual and physical abuse against a spouse, those laws were rarely enforced. And if I left, it would be listed as a divorce without cause, which back then, due to the very high security clearance I held, I would have lost my job. And he knew it. The biggest hurdle, though, was my faulty beliefs. See, I felt like if I could just stop being so selfish and needy, and if I could just be a good enough wife, I thought he'd go back to being my best friend, not this monster that's in front of me. I foolishly thought I could love him back to his old self. I knew my best friend was in there somewhere. I saw him volunteering at church. I saw him being friendly with the neighbors. I saw him sweet talking the ladies at the grocery store. But I never saw him around me anymore. The one bright light from that relationship is my first son. It took 8 years and several losses to finally be able to hold this miracle boy in my hands. And he is what eventually motivated me to stop tolerating the abuse. After all, the way he saw his father treat me would be the way that he would not only treat me, but the way he would grow up to treat other women. My husband resigned from his position, and to make ends meet, I volunteered for a 6-month military trip. It was the first time I felt led to do something contrary to the traditional upbringing my father beat into us, since man is the head of the household. I also felt led to open up a separate bank account for the trip. And I remember the day I opened that account, fingers trembling over the mouse because inside I felt like I was doing something that contradicted God's decree that wives should submit to their husband. Yet I felt strongly that I should do it. I now know God is a kind and loving father who cares for his children. He was leading me just as any earthly father would if he knew what his baby girl was going through. I came home from that trip to find my house sold, most of my belongings thrown out. We signed divorce papers 5 days later. He went off looking young enough with his wavy hair to attract college girls, and I went off to learn how to be a broke single military mom with over $845,000 of divorce debt. On one hand, life was tough, and I used a lot of cardboard boxes for furniture. But on the other hand, I was free from 15 years of abuse that I had tried to hide from the rest of the world. When I finally started dating again, I seemed to only attract predators. I still felt unworthy of nice things and nice people and nice experiences. But it was a huge step forward that I could at least recognize that these men would tear down all I had built up financially and professionally. This was another step forward, valuing myself enough to protect myself. Eventually, and I'm still not sure how it happened, but I'm so glad it did, I began to attract more abundance in my life. My mindset began to change. And as my mindset changed, I began to walk in abundance of finances, abundant friendships, abundant fruit in both community work and a ministry that I started. There's a saying that the sexiest thing a woman can put on is confidence. And I started attracting higher caliber men. Unfortunately, I couldn't get past my past. And so whenever a man's mannerisms in any way reminded me of my dad or my ex-husband, I dropped him. Oh, I was never going to need a man again. Want? Sure. Need? Never. One man broke through my defenses and built a friendship, a partnership with me. We called or Skyped each other every night for almost 3 years until we were married. This man carried me through deployments in the Middle East, debilitating car accidents, roller coaster of starting my own business. His strengths make up for my many weaknesses, and he meets most of my emotional needs just by being himself. I am passionate about working with singles now that I am a fully retired, stay-at-home mom, full-time entrepreneur, often reminding them that it's better to be alone than to be miserably married, and it's better to be single and alone than to be married and alone. I encourage them to be faithful to themselves while they wait, and I support those who choose to remain single for whatever reason. I teach them to be financially secure, to walk in abundance mindset, and to take control of what life they have left. When I look at the pain and sorrow of the first part of my life, I realize that the last amazing 12 years have been worth every tear I shed. It's never too late to start over. It's never too late to begin to love yourself. It's never too late to have the experiences you dream of. It's never too late as long as you're willing to take the first step. And that first step is making the decision today to take ownership of your life. I'm JJ Conway. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's talk from the Women's Wealth Summit. You can access this talk and many others at jjclink.com/VIP. Y'all take care and be blessed.
Love the podcast? Be sure to like, subscribe, and forward to 3 friends. You can ask a question or take a life-changing class at buildingwealthtogether.com. Now, go walk in abundance and leave a legacy.